Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. It's the end of a beautiful day today, sunny day, but the temperatures are starting to get really cold now. We're getting down to like -10 at night, and I looked at the forecast and it's only going to get colder in the next couple of weeks. At the end of the week they're looking at -19 degrees Celsius, so it's time to bring all the trees inside. It's quite common in the winter for your trees and pots to freeze to the bench. I can't get this one off. Because these are mica pots, what I do is I get the axe and I just put the axe underneath the pot and just pry it up. And now the pot's loose, so I can take it into the basement. Alright, this tree can go on the bench over here. Maybe down here. I'll keep all the trees in the basement here for at least January and February. And then in March I'll start putting them back outside on the bench while it's still cold out. I'll keep an eye on the buds, making sure that none of them break dormancy while they're down here. If it looks like they are starting to break dormancy, I'll take them outside and maybe put them in the greenhouse. Keep them cold until spring comes. Because it's quite cool and damp down here in the basement, the trees won't use much water over the winter. But you should check them at least once every 2 weeks to make sure they're not drying out. For some of my heavier plantings like these forests, I won't lift them by hand. It just gets too heavy by the time you get to the house. So I'll get out the wagon. Okay. And some other trees too. I've got a full load. Let's head back to the house. Underneath the plant room here, the basement is unheated and it very rarely goes below freezing. It's only gone below freezing twice, and that's when it's really cold outside, you know, below -25 degrees Celsius. So, because it's just above freezing, it's ideal for storing trees for the winter. There we go. The benches are starting to get empty. I'll do as much as I can today, and I'll have to finish up tomorrow if I don't get them all in. I'll get the larch forest in now. I'm always sorry to see the sunset on such a beautiful day. With the benches almost empty, it's time to head indoors and start today's work in the bonsai zone. Today indoors, I'll be working on my Christmas cactus and my Ficus religiosa. My Christmas cactus needs a really good trim. It's growing really wild and out of shape. And my Ficus religiosa just needs a light trim to kind of balance the vigor on all the branches. It's a cloudy day outside today. So indoors we are at 21.3 degrees Celsius and 90% humidity. The last time I pruned this Christmas cactus, I gave it a profile pruning. I just took the scissors and made a rounded canopy, and it recovered really well from that operation. Right now this tree goes from 1 trunk to 2 trunks, and then the 2 trunks divide to a further 4 trunks. So I'm going to try and build on that, trying to get, you know, some more kind of secondary type branch structures in the tree. The trunk is recovering really nicely. There was one point where a mouse ate away at the trunk and it looked like an apple core. So it's repairing itself really well. I'm happy with that. I'll start the pruning with this lowest branch. So the trunk divides from, the main trunk, and this is more of a branch, but it's kind of like a trunk-like branch. It comes up. There's a lot of extra growth back here that I need to remove. So I'll do that. I'll come in and snip that off. Just pruning it at the base here where it comes out of the woody part. And one more to get here. Like that. So now this branch comes up. It's nice and woody. And I want to divide it from 1 into 2. And I could do it up here and prune this one off, or I could keep, this and this branch and have it divide here. So I think I'll do that. So I'll have the branch, it comes up, it divides from 1 to 2, and then this branch divides from 1 into 2 again. So I'll snip it off at the junction points here, just to shorten it and ramify it. And I'll snip it off right here. So you can see this is dividing from 1 into 3 here. So I've got to pick the ones I want to keep. I'll cut this one off. I'll come out front and have a look at it. And I think I'll remove this one because it's kind of crossing in front of the trunk here. So we'll get rid of this one. Like that. So I'll do the same on this branch. It's dividing from 1 into 3 here. So I'll look out front. So looking at this branch, this is the main vigorous part of the branch. It's certainly growing the best. But it's very straight. It comes up and it just kind of keeps going here. Whereas if I keep these two, it kind of gets a slight change of direction. So I think I'm going to prune off this thicker part. So here I go. Just like that. So we'll follow it up. It divides from 1 to 2 here. There's another branch here I have to take off, a little tiny one. This one hasn't divided into 2, so I'll leave it. Maybe it'll sprout something. I'll take this one off here. Just shortening it, and here. Like that. And that's got that first branch all cleaned up. I'll want to follow a similar approach for the main trunk of the tree. So it comes up and it divides into 2 here. And then I'll want this trunk to divide into 2 here. And it's dividing into more than 2. Has 1, 2, 3 coming off of here. This one's okay, but then it divides into a whole bunch of multi branches up here. So we've just got to clean the structure up. I'll have to decide. I've got 3 here. I'll have to decide which one to remove. So I'll come out front and look at it. And again, this one is follows the line of the trunk almost exactly. So I'm going to remove that one because these two give it a slight change of direction. So here I go. I'll come in and prune away that thickest trunk here, like that. And then I'll shorten this one to the first leaf, and this one also, and this one. And that's got that part of the trunk line cleaned up. So now I'm following this part of the trunk line. It comes up. I've got a fairly woody part here. That looks good, so I might as well keep that. So I will get rid of these little branches that have formed off the main trunk here. Like that. So I'm dividing this trunk from 1 to 2, so I have to pick my other one. And I think I kind of want something in this direction. I've got this branch out front, I've got this trunk over to this side, and I've got a back trunk back here, but I have nothing in this sort of direction. So I'm looking for a trunk line that would come out this way. And this one's good, or this one. This one's growing really closely to this woody part, so I think I'll take that one off. If I can get in there. There we go. I'll clean that up a little later on. So this is the trunk I'm going to keep here. And I'll need to get rid of all the other ones. So there's plenty of them here. So I'll get rid of this one and this one. And there's a fairly thick one at the back. I could have this come up and divide into 2 here, because it sort of does have a bit of a branch there. I think I will. I'll keep that one for now. I'm just going to prune one that's crossing here at the back. I don't want that one at all, so I'll prune that one away. Yeah. There we go. So I'll shorten this branch to the first leaf here. And also this one. Like that. So we've got this trunk coming up, dividing, sort of a branch here dividing into 2. This trunk coming up, and I've got to pick my branches I want to keep here. There is 2 strong ones at the back. I think I'll keep those, so I'll get rid of this one and this one. And there's my 2 branches at the back. There's one at the back growing that's interfering with it. I'll get rid of that. Like that. This branch divides into 2 again, but it doesn't further divide, so I'll prune off that growth. And hopefully we'll get another 2 branches coming off of these ones. And same here. Prune that one back, this one back. So there we have a good branch structure. We'll do the same for this one now. I don't like this branch because it kind of crosses over top of the main trunk. I'd rather it fan out. So I'm going to remove this inner one here. Like that. So we're coming up, dividing to 2 here, 2 here. So I'm going to prune it back to a node here and here. I could prune that one back here. I think I will. To there. This branch comes off here. It's dividing into 3. So I'll want to pick my best one. I think I'll move this inner one here. Like that. And we'll prune this back. And this back, like that. So that's cleaned up that branch structure nicely. That leaves us with the main trunk out the back now, so I'll rotate the tree around. There's a side view of it. I'll start by pruning back some of this long growth. Just clean the area up a bit so I can see what's going on here. So this is kind of a back branch, so I'm looking at the flow of the trunk. I want it to fan out a bit, so I don't want, a lot. This is the vertical part of the tree. This will be more horizontal branch, so I'm going to get rid of some of these upright branches here. That one and this one here. trim this one back. Get rid of this branch here. And I'll shorten this one to here. So this part of the branch, it's coming up and dividing into 3 here. So I'll take this middle one out. I don't like the direction of it. So now I'm dividing into 2 there, and then I've got to pick 2 branches here. So I would remove the ones from the very back and keep the ones that are kind of coming out this direction more. Okay, I'm going to rotate that around again like that. So at the back I have the one main trunk coming up, and I'm dividing into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 branches. So there's a weak one here. I'll get rid of that one. I'll keep my stronger ones. So this one's fine. Just prune this one back. There's one kind of growing forward here. I don't really like that. It's going to cross in front of another branch, so I'm going to take that off totally. Like that. There's an old leaf here from where I cut it last time. I'll take that off. I think I'm going to have to take this whole upright one off here. If you look at it from this view, it's kind of growing towards the main trunk here. And I've still got 1, 2, 3, 4 branches coming off from this one main branch here. So I'm going to take that one off. I can see that causing future problems, you know, interfering with this trunk and this little side branch here. So now I'm down to 3 trunks here. So I've got to have a look at it and determine which one I want to take off. You're looking at the front of the tree now. So I've got this one branch here, which looks good. It kind of fills in this area. This branch is good, but I don't think I need this top one, so I'm going to get rid of that. Like I said, I don't want this back branch to be kind of a competing trunk. I want this to be the main trunk of the tree, and this one more of a, you know, kind of back branch that isn't as powerful as the main trunk. So I'm going to come in and clean these cuts up now. I'll show you that. So I'll come in with the branch pruners and just kind of prune them flush. I don't want big bumps. That looks much better. A little cleaner. I'm looking at it from the front now, and I've changed my mind about this one. I don't like it. It kind of competes with the trunk here, so I'm going to take that off. Just like that. I think that looks much better. There's an overall view of the Christmas cactus now. I think you can see it has much more of a tree-like structure to it now. It doesn't look like this big top-heavy bush. This will all grow in again. It'll get all bushy. My goal for this tree is to have a nice tree-like structure, almost like a weeping willow, have all these upper branches weep and then have it flower. So it should look quite nice someday in the future. Here's a view of all the leaves that I've pruned off, quite a bit. These make really good cuttings. You just have to stick them in bonsai soil. Keep them, you know, the soil kind of moist, but on the dry side, and they'll root and grow into a new plant. There is a leaf that dropped off here and it rooted, but I have to pull that out. I don't want it in here. So there you can see the roots that came off the little part that dropped off. So I've collected up all the cuttings, so I'll bring them into our bonsai meeting this coming Wednesday and give them out for free. I'll rotate the Christmas cactus around so you can see it from all angles. So here's the front, somewhere around here, rotating around. There's the back. And back to the front. So it's starting to get a tree-like structure to it. The next tree I'll be pruning is a small Ficus religiosa. This tree is planted in a 3D printed pot, and I styled the pot to look like one of those typical Chinese marble pots. I'm not pruning this tree because it's wild and overgrown. I'm pruning it to balance the vigor. There's a few branches on it that are growing really strongly compared to some of the weaker lower branches. So I want to prune these vigorous branches and kind of balance the tree so it's all growing with an even vigor. One of the more vigorous branches is this tall vertical one here. So I'll prune that off right here. There's another branch coming off of that that's fairly vigorous. I'll just take the tip off it. There's one out the back here that's growing with quite a bit of vigor. So I'll just take the end of that one off. There's one growing vertical here, which I don't want. I want this branch dividing from 1 to 2. So I'm just going to take that off entirely. Like that. I'll prune this one back just slightly too. Take the tip off it. And that's pretty well done it. There's a leaf that's growing across these branches here I'll take out. Just so that I get a little more light down to this branch. And maybe this one too. And this one. I need to get some light to these weaker branches. So just a light trim on this Ficus religiosa, just to get it back in balance, and it can go back on the bench. And now it's time for today's update. Today's update is my small jade forest. They're just starting to come out into leaf now, so I can start to increase the watering. I'm still not using the watering can on them. I'm just misting them still. So just kind of giving a light mist twice a day. About like that. So the water doesn't, go deep into the soil. It's still fairly dry. But I think once they start to get a few more leaves on top, then I can start watering with the watering can and give it a good thorough soaking. And then, start that cycle of thoroughly soaking the soil and then letting it dry out and just keep repeating that. It looks like all the jades are doing well, except for the ones right back here. They're not looking really good. There is still some green on them, but I don't think they'll survive. I think that's the only one that's not going to make it. So I'll replace that with a cutting off these trees once they're growing, just to kind of fill that corner in. So no problem. Once these trees get a little stronger, I'll start doing the landscaping and working on the canopies, and I think it'll look quite good in the end. It's time now for today's viewers' picks. Today's viewers' picks are sent in by Atikuzaman from Bangladesh. He's got Ficus religiosa and tamarind trees. That's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.